once again it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome everyone to episode 123. That's right, 123. It's academic of Toss, the Tristain on Sports Show. Yes, it is your main man, T Squared, Tristain Thomas. Thank you all so much for joining us. This week, we've made it past the halfway mark. We're actually well over the halfway mark of the NBA season. So it's time for us to talk about the Bucks at the half. That's right. We're about to do a semi-deep dive on the Milwaukee Bucks for episode 123 of Toss. Again, thank you all so much for joining us. And as I said before, we are well over the halfway mark of the season. The Milwaukee Bucks, as we record this program, have played 47 games. They are 30-17. That is good enough for third in the Eastern Conference, which is where they finished last season as the 3 seed. Had a shot to get the 1 seed, but opted for rest. And some people said, oh, they avoided the 1 seed because of this matchup and that matchup and all their stupidity. You have to give credit to the players who have been healthy, and we'll get into health in a little bit. You also have to give credit to the coaching staff and Mike Budenholzer for holding this team together and getting them to a 30-17 mark again with all of the injuries and the shuffling of lineups and guys in and out. And this has been probably the most injury-riddled Bucks season that we've seen in quite a while, as far as guys missing time. But again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. You all know the rule as to why we are now really talking about this Milwaukee Bucks team. If you don't know the rule, if you're new here to Toss, and thank you for tuning in, here's my rule when talking about an NBA team, period. Doesn't matter what team it is. And sometimes it's not hard and steadfast for every team. Some teams, you know, are just going to struggle that year, whether it be because of the head coach that they got, who really hasn't had a whole lot of success, the roster they have, it's undeveloped, or they don't really have the type of players that go out there and really compete at a high level. You know those teams are going to struggle. But typically, and this is my rule, you could tell who is who. You could tell what a team is after about 30 games into the season. You can tell who is who, what a team actually is, at about 30 games into the NBA season. You're close to the halfway mark of the season. You're far removed from the beginning of the season. You're now really into it. You can tell who is who, what a team is, typically through 30 games of the season. And this is why I held off on talking about what this team actually is until this point. 47 games in. Typically, I would do it around 30, 35 games. I wanted to do it at 41 games. But there was a reason why I waited to this point to really do a deep dive. It's because of all the injuries. We kind of teased it. Now let's get into it. Again, this is probably the most injury-riddled season that I can remember from the Milwaukee Bucks. We've seen Chris go down before for an extended period of time. We're talking about way back. We're talking about Jabari Parker going down twice with an ACL. But under Mike Budenholzer, this is probably the most injury-riddled that this team has been. Look at the list of players who have missed time, significant time, this season. It starts with Chris Middleton, a guy who is still being underrated and disrespected. He missed 38 games. Between recovering from wrist surgery between his knee issue. He just came back in Monday night's game against the Detroit Pistons, as did Giannis, another guy who has missed time. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Chris missed 38 games, and you watch the Bucks, you know who their closing lineup typically has included. Chris Middleton. He truly is the closer on this ball club. He's a guy that could go and create shots for himself, go and get buckets. When he's going, he's really good, and their games play well off of each other, and I'm talking about Middleton and Antetokounmpo. He's missed 38 games. Joe Ingles, your free agency acquisition, missed 10 months of basketball activity, period, because he was recovering from an ACL. But he missed the first 29 games. He's back now. And when he really gets back, this is an exciting piece because he could be a facilitator, but he can also hit shots for you. And for as slow-mo as he is, yes, he can get to the cup as well. But that's an exciting piece, and this is a guy who's still working himself back into basketball shape. I truly feel that way. But he's had some pretty good games. Really good piece to have. Pat Connaughton missed the first 17 games of the season. Got that injury towards the end of preseason. Calf. He missed 17 games. He's been back for a while now. Important piece off the bench. Giannis has missed 10 games. Had missed 5 straight before Monday night's Detroit Pistons ball game with a sore knee. But overall this season, he's missed 10 ball games. Now, do I believe they could have played him sooner? I do believe that. I think they held him out 5 games just because it was midseason and you're doing some midseason maintenance. You would see him out there warming up before every game that he missed. Looked pretty good in warm-ups. Could he have played? Sure. But I think they're being very cautious given the nature of how many injuries they've had and the importance of postseason to this franchise. Play him just enough to go and qualify for the playoffs, stay out of that play-in tournament, because truly, the Bucks do not care where they finish. I think they care enough to not get into that play-in situation. I think they care enough to finish as a top 4, have that home court, preferably top 3, win your division, have that home court. But they don't care if they finish 1. They don't care if they finish 4. I truly don't believe they care if they finish 6th. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to play good basketball when it matters the most. And this franchise is now with a championship pedigree to it. And is now being judged, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, it is now being judged by what they do in the postseason. So the Bucks are going to do what they need to keep guys healthy, to qualify for the playoffs. Again, staying out of that play-in situation, which is the 7 through 10. Try to finish in the top 3 spot so you have home court. Learn to grow and get better as the playoffs get here. Drew Holiday, the current reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week. He's been balling on both sides of the ball, both sides of the court. He's been putting in work. With Chris missing, with Giannis missing. He has missed his games himself, but he's been back and he's been balling. And he's had to. He's taken on kind of a different role because he's been the guy. He's been there. But even he's missed 10 games this year. Now Bobby Portis is set to miss time. Left the game Monday night against Detroit. Sprained right knee. already ruled out for the Nuggets game on Wednesday. Again, as we record this program on a Tuesday, big game for the Bucks, big game for the Nuggets. And they're going to be without Bobby Portis, a walking double-double, averaging 14 and 10, good three-point shooting. Was having a hell of a season. Now he's going to miss a little bit of time. But you catch my drift. This has been the most injury-riddled this ball club has been under Mike Budenholzer. And for them to be sitting here at 30 and 17, third in the Eastern Conference. Again, as we record this program, they are third in the Eastern Conference at 30 and 17. That's damn good work by the players who are available and who have been out there playing. That's damn good work by the coaching staff. It's incredible that they're third in the Eastern Conference at 30 and 17, an earshot away from second. Don't know if they'll get the number one seed. Again, I don't believe they care. Boston has really set itself apart. But I digress. You got people complaining about this team, and yeah, you know, they got some faults. I don't like how they collapse and just give up big leads. Toronto being one. Luckily, they pulled that game out in overtime. But the last two Chicago games, you get out to double-digit leads, and they evaporate, and the Bulls come back and beat you behind in the fourth quarter. They've had a lot of that this season. And again, you can chalk it up to injury, not having the closing lineup out there that you want, that really led you to a championship. That's really been the basis for a lot of success. And I'm sure the injuries have contributed to that, but it's also a mentality. But when you don't have the guys in the lineup to really reinforce that mentality, to set an example, the team does suffer. But Giannis was on the court. Drew has been on the court. Bobby's been on the court. Pat's been on the court. Brooks been on the court. Brooks been balling. What a year he's having. Those guys who have been through those wars, those guys who won a championship together, they've been on the court for those collapses. And you just can't have that. The amount of turnovers. This team puts forth. We're so accustomed to seeing them taking care of the basketball. It's just mind-boggling. Some of the passes I've seen thrown by this team have just been mind-numbing. It's like, I can't believe it. So they aren't without their faults. No team is. But if you're an injury-riddled team, again, you're still 30 and 17, which is incredible. You can't afford to beat yourself. Sometimes the shooting goes cold. They go 9 for 45 from three, and I'm just arbitrarily putting that number out there, but it's probably true. They've probably done that at least one time this season. But this is a team that's lived by the three, died by the three. You're going to have to come to expect that at times. So again, this team, not without its faults, but they're still competing. They're still winning. So I don't see a whole lot to complain about. There's still time in the season to get better. They need time and they need health. And they're now just starting to get healthy again. Giannis returned on Monday. Chris returned on Monday. Now you lose Bobby, which hurts. But this team was finally starting to truly get healthy. And it's going to take them some time. It's going to take them games together. Yes, they've been playing together for years, but every season is different. And you got to gel. Now, in Monday night's game, it didn't look like it took a whole lot of time for them to gel. They put up 150. But you're also talking against Detroit. Now, Detroit's got some players, but they're missing some people. They're not having the best season. Worst record in the Eastern Conference. The real test is going to be Wednesday against the Nuggets, number 1 in the Western Conference. Jokic could quite possibly win his 3rd MVP. Jamal Murray is back. Michael Malone has that squad playing some really good basketball. The best in the Western Conference. It's as I said on the Toss Facebook page, facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. When the reports came out that there's optimism that Chris and Giannis could play on Monday against the Pistons, and I said, if true, Monday would be the warm-up. Wednesday would be the real deal. Let's go. And it's shaping up to be that way. You put up 150? And make no mistake about it, we're used to seeing the Bucks being a juggernaut on both ends of the court. And while they have been a juggernaut on the defensive end of the court, still top 10 defensively, they have not exactly been the offensive juggernaut that we've known them to be. Again, look at how many guys have been in and out of that lineup. Chris missed 38 games. Joe Ingles missed 29 games. Pat missed 17 games. Giannis missed 10 games. Drew missed 10 games. And now you're going to be without Bobby Portis. That's going to be inconsistent offense. And when you're missing that many guys out of the lineup, you're going to have to get your young guys involved, which is exactly what's been happening this season. AJ Green has seen some run. He showed his propensity to shoot the basketball. Marjon Beauchamp, love this kid. Love the way his game is developing before our very eyes. You've seen his athleticism, his ability to get to the cup, but he's also been shooting the three pretty decently. Is there room for improvement there? Yes. And that was really the big question mark I had about his game, because in order to play with Giannis, you're going to have to be able to space the floor. Is he going to be able to hit that shot from outside consistently? And he's been doing a pretty good job of that, the Rook. And if anything, that's the one good thing about the injuries. You get your young guys some important minutes, some real important regular season minutes that's really only going to build their knowledge base, their confidence, and it may serve you well come playoff time if this team should happen to qualify. But it's also a double-edged sword with those young guys, because we know Mike Budenholzer does not like to play the young guys. He does not really develop the young guys. And now with this team getting healthy, hell, even when this team wasn't healthy, you still see Mike Budenholzer, DNP, CD, Beauchamp. And if you ask me, he's been playing better than Jordan has been. Jordan Noir. Been playing better than George Hill. Why is this kid not getting more run? So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, all the injuries, you're going to have to play some guys that you normally would not. But it's only going to benefit those guys in their games. And they're going to be able to come through in really battle-tough situations if you continue on that path. And that's going to be very hard with a coach like Bud, who doesn't like to play the young guys, who doesn't really want to develop the young guys. He wants to go with his vets. He wants to keep his rotation intact, not really sprinkle in any of the young guys to try to get them some important run. Doesn't really want to do that. In a game like Monday's game, when you put up 150, you pull the starters. Giannis only played 26 minutes. He got 29 and 12. Chris came off the bench, gave you 15 minutes, 8 points, 4 assists, 3 of 7 shooting. So it's not like these guys played any crazy minutes, but was able to empty his bench. You put up 150, you still beat Detroit by 20. You're up by a hell of a lot more than that. You would just really love to see Bud stick, at least with Marjan. Stick with him. Let him be a part of that rotation. Get him some run. I like that kid's game. I think if he continues to develop, continues to grow offensively, especially with that outside shot, kid could be really good. The kid could be really good. So as we stand back and we look at this team and we look at the season, and we've seen, I ran down a list multiple times on how many players missed games and how many games they missed. And it's been a lot. I think we're stuck with what we believe the Bucks can be versus what they actually are at this point. I'm on record as saying a healthy Chris Middleton helps the Bucks win that semifinal series against Boston last season. But no one has beaten a healthy Milwaukee Bucks team, a completely healthy Milwaukee Bucks team in the playoffs since they won a championship. So until someone does, I'm going to go down with the belief that, hey, a fully healthy squad, a healthy Chris Middleton, they win that series. And it fuels the thinking of, man, a healthy Milwaukee Bucks squad is an absolute buzzsaw. You saw it on Monday night against Detroit. But again, that was Detroit. What will they do on Wednesday night? How will Mike Budenholzer dispense minutes for those guys? Again, nobody played really any crazy minutes in Monday night's victory. But you may have to against Denver. Will they prove that theory right? A fully healthy ball club, a fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks ball club. And you won't truly be fully healthy because, again, Bobby Portis already been ruled out for Wednesday's game against the Nuggets. He's going to miss some time. So you're still going to be missing a piece, a big piece, especially off the bench. Again, a walking double-double, 14 and 10, with a good three-point shooting. You're missing a big piece. But a fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks squad, and you're talking the predominant guys, a healthy Brook, a healthy Drew, a healthy Giannis, a healthy Chris. Those four guys being healthy. Are they the buzzsaw? Is that the theory that will be proven right? Or is this turnover-laden, lackadaisical in the wrong moments, blowing big leads team actually who they are? And at this point in the season, you typically know. But we don't know. Until all these guys are healthy, until all these guys are on the court, 10, 15, 20 games, we're just not going to know. Jury's still out on this ball club. They're 30 and 17. They're still a very good ball club regardless of them not being healthy. That says something. But what is this team truly? I'll put it to you like this. They're still learning. They're still growing. There's still a lot of basketball to be played. They have time. They're starting to get health. The two things I said they needed. but we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to really tell what this version of the Milwaukee Bucks actually is. Well, y'all, that's it for me. It's episode 123 of Toss Tristain on Sports Show. Bucks at the half. You know where to find me on social media. At the20double on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me in both spaces. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show is the Toss on Facebook page. Toss on Facebook, yeah. We talk about a lot of things there that we don't necessarily get a chance to on this show. Again, Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. And of course, Toss Nation Media. Your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. But, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. It's T-Squared, Tristan Thomas, reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Until next week, so long from Toss.